Hello everyone. Today we're here to put in practice classes on Ruby. So we're gonna keep the same examples that we did on the slices. We're gonna talk about authors and books. The first class that we're gonna create it's gonna be a book, and it's gonna have as an instance variable. It's gonna have the title, the language, and then we're going to create another variable that it's going to count the number of books that they've been sold. So it's going to be like the sold units. We're going to create two methods so we can access these variables and manage them. And then we're going to create another class that's going to be an author. This author is going to have a name and a country, and then we're going to create a collection. This collection is going to be an array of objects. So it's the place where we're going to add the books that each author has, right? And then each object is going to have like information. If we have time at the end, we're going to create another type that is going to be a hardcover type, and it's going to be a class that is going to be inherited from the book class. So it's going to have a lot of similar things, and let's practice and let's see how we do it. So as we say, we're going to start defining the class book. So right now we just define the class book. The name is going to be on caps, and we're going to write it. The name of the file is going to be with lower cases. So as we say in the slices, classes can have a constructor. So let's see this constructor. Shall initialize. And we say that we want to have as a instance variables title and language. We're gonna assign these values here. Title, it's gonna be a title, and language, it's gonna be a language. So this doesn't create circular references because the add title is different in the title. So these are two different variable names. However, here what we're going to do when we call the initializer, we take the values that it's passed through like the keywords arguments, and then we assign it to this installed variable that is. So right now we're ready. Here we have a class with initializer. Let's see what's happened. Let's play a little bit with these classes. So right now we are in the interactive console. We're gonna load the name of the file. That is it called RB. If it says true, it means that it find it and it loaded without no problem. So right now we should be able to call the function through like the construction method, and we're gonna pass these two arguments: title, my book, and then language. It's gonna be English, probably should be Spanish. So as we can see, we were able to create this class. What we get as a return is the book class name with a title we see as an instance variable and a language as the other instance variable. So right now let's go and create some methods here. We're gonna create first method. It's gonna call info, and then it's gonna return here we can interpolate. We're gonna interpolate an instance variable. So the title book is in language. So that's going to be our first method. Then let's see if we can do it like this. If we can reload it again. True. So here I'm giving book equal, and here right now we should be able to call this method title. So what's going on here? That we are trying to read these variables that we don't have access. So let's go and give access to what we are interpolating here, that is title in language. This being done by this getters method, attribute reader, and here we're gonna give title and language. All right, let's go and reload the getter class. Let's create it, and then let's see what's happening in the info. And here, what we get right now is the my book is in English. So here, for sure that we didn't give a good name on the title, but let's go and create more things. So we say that we wanted some sort of internal instance variable that it counts the number of times that this book has been sold. So right now here, let's give another attribute, sold units, and here we're gonna pass a default value. So what that means that if when we create we don't put this keyword argument, it's gonna set it as 0. So that's what we want, because usually when we add a book we just want to add it without, or assuming that it's never been sold. So here we're gonna add this install variable, so unit. So, and right now what we're gonna do, we're gonna need a method that we can modify this instance variable. So how are we gonna call it? Let's say increase cells, something like that. Def increase cells. Let's do it like that. Increase cells, correct. And here, since what we're gonna be modifying is the same internal variable, we use the self dot sold units, and we're gonna say that we're gonna increment it by 1. This is why the increment in Ruby plus equal to 1. So if right now we go and we try to modify this instance variable, we're gonna see that we're gonna have troubles. We're gonna have troubles because right now we only set up 2 attribute readers, so 2 getters of information. So right now we are able to retrieve information from title and language instance variable, but we are not able to write any of these instance variables. So here we go add an attribute writer. Sorry, that goes with 1t to sold units. So right now we have already set up, initialize the info. Okay, let's go and see what's happened when we create this class now. Let's reload it again. Let's create it. As you see, we don't pass the sold unit, so we're only gonna create it with a title and a language, and we are expecting that it's gonna create it's gonna assign to the sold unit instance variable the value of 0. Let's see. Alright, here as we can see, sold units is equal to 0. So right now, what's happened if we are trying to increase cells? Let's say that we have a cell and we wanna trace it. So if here we go and we increase cells and define middle sold units. Alright, so here what we were missing, it was the sold units getter methods. So when we were calling this method that it was increase sales, first it was reading from the variable, and that's why we were not having access. We gave access to the writing but not to the reading. So right now that I found that, let's go and see what can we do it right now. So here we're gonna load the class first, Then let's create it without no sol unit, and then we're gonna use this method to increase the number of cells. So here, every time that right now this internal instance variable is changing, and it's where we're gonna store the value of the amount of books that they've been sold. So let's give a little bit more behavior to this class, and then let's go and create the other one. So let's say that we're gonna create another, let's say that we're gonna go revenue projection, and here we're gonna give a year, and the same is gonna give in the terminal the revenue for the year is, and here projection year, and we pass the number of year, and here we close. So what are we here doing? So let's say that we want to know the projections of some year in the future. So that's gonna be defined here in the public interface, but then I'm defining this private method, and this private method is going to be defined here in the same class but under private. This is just for giving an example of the public interface and the private interface. So here's a typical thing that people doesn't need to know from the outside. How do you calculate this revenue projection for this year? So you give the interface, but then you do whatever you need to do it. So here we are calling something that is private, and here we're going to change this behavior if we need to change it at any time, and none of the tests are going to fail. Or if you change the behavior, we don't need to change the test, but that's it. So let's define this class projection year, this projection year, and we're gonna give an argue. As we can see, the argues can be in parentheses or without parentheses. And what else we gonna do? And right now, let's say that we just gonna do some very basics operations. So we're gonna take the year and we're gonna divide it by 2000. So this is just for giving an example of how a public interface calls some private methods, and we do the operations that we need to do it, and then we return to the public interface. So that's all I want to give here as an example. Let's go again, let's load it, and right now let's create another object that is going to be book, and right now let's say book. What is our revenues for 2020? Oops, it's my bad. It's telling that we're gonna make 1.1 cents, so $1. We have a long way to go, but let's see. So let's just repass what this class does. We have this class, we initialize, it keeps the number of books that they've been sold, it stores the title and the language, and we can print some information on the terminal. So right now let's go and create the other class that is going to be the outer class. Oops. So here it's going to be a class alpha. Same as we say, as initializer, we gonna give a name and a country. So let's go. Initialize here with keyword arguments, name and country. So here, as we see, we're gonna first of all assign these parameters. Oops, name, country, maybe we'll go to country, and then here we're gonna create the collections that we were talking before. Collections. So let's go and see this class. First we're gonna need to load it. The author.rb, and here we're gonna say author.new. Oh, we need to give a name. That's gonna be me, of course. And country, it's gonna be Spain. Alright, so as we can see, we create another class that it has a name, this is the object, a name, a country, and it has an empty collection as we define it. So let's go and create some methods. Def information. This guy is retrieve my name or the name of the author. Puts the author name is name, nationality, country. Here, as we did it before, we don't want to have the same problem, the same trouble, so we're going to define the setter methods. Reader, that here for now it's going to be name and country. Name and country. Alright, let's go and see what's happened. So here we're gonna get the name, and here right now I can do the name. That was a bad name. Let's put author. No, so right now I can do author the Jordan, the name, country from Spain. So I was gonna check with the collection, but I don't have here the setter method, so let's add it. And what else we say that we want to do? We're gonna be able to add books to this collection. So let's go and create these methods. Here we're gonna explain something that is very used in Ruby on Rails, and it's gonna be class injections. So this class is gonna has an optional parameter that it's gonna inject the book class. So by doing it that way, we can test it very easily, and we can change the classes, or we can put different types of classes. Let's go and see a little bit more about what this class injection means. So here, right now, I'm going to create a method that is going to be add to the collection. And what it's gonna be is, let's say that we pass the first title and the language and the name. And we're gonna say that if we don't overwrite this keyword argument when we call this method as a default, we're gonna create an object that is gonna be the book class type. So let's go see how we're gonna do that. So here at collection, that it's an array, we gonna put another, and we're gonna add an object that here is gonna be material type dot new, and we're gonna pass title. Oops, that's a variable, and a language. Language. So here this class needs to know about what is book. Let's go and define it here. Real is the book. And since we want to add something to the collection, here we need to give a retriever writer rights to this collection too. So let's go, let's see. Let's load this class. Let's create an author. And right now to this author, let's add an object to the collection. To collection. And here we can give my first book. And with the language in English. And we are not gonna give any material type. So if we don't give anything, it's create a class book. So right now, when we go to the author.collection, we can see that there is one book. So let's add another book. So right now it's gonna be my second book. My second book. And as we can see right now in collections, we have two books. Both of them, they are of the same type, but they have different titles and they have the same language because that's how we define it. So let's say that right now we can do author collection, and let's count how many books do we have. So we can, right now we can apply any kind of method that is associated with that type. So since author and collection is an array, we can use all the methods that they are defined on the library of an arrays. So count, it's gonna count the objects that there are inside this array. And as we see, we have two. That's fantastic. So let's add another one and just let's see how many are gonna be. And we have three now. This is fantastic, as I'm saying. So, what else can we? So here we say that material type, we pass book. But let's say that right now we have other kinds of materials that this author writes. Let's say that he writes books, he writes magazines, he writes hardcover books. So let's go and define another kind. Let's say that here we're gonna define this hardcover that it's heritage from the class book. Oops. And that's the name that we're gonna say. So let's load this new class of type hardcover. And let's do hardcover new. Let's see what's gonna happen. It says that we are missing title and language. It's like, how it's possible? It's possible because right now the initializer, since we are not overwriting the method initializer, the initializer from the hardcover is the same than the book. So we need, when we create a hardcover, we need to pass a title that is gonna be a hardcover, and we need to define the language. That the language is gonna be in English again. So and right now we can create another object types that they are hardcover and they have the same behavior associated. So this is fantastic again. So right now we have a book, hardcover, and the author that writes books and hardcovers. So let's accommodate the new hardcover to all this business logic. So here we go on and include the hardcovers. So right now, no, the ones that we need to load is the author. It's the ones that it just changed it. So let's do it again. Let's create first an author. And now let's add a book. My first book. Let's add another book. And right now, let's add, here's where the magic star, an object that instead of being a book, it's going to be a hardcover. So here, since we are passing this keyword argument, we are overriding the default value that it's book, and we're saying that we are passing a hardcover class. And as we can see right now, if we go to the author collection, it's returning 3 objects, where the last one, it's a hardcover class, but if we check the first one, it's a book class. So we create an array of objects of different types that they represent the types of books that an author can write, and every object, it has its own variable. So right now, let's say that we want to go to the first object in this collection that we know is a book type, and we want to increase the number of cells. So we can increase cells. And that's how we call it. Or we can do the same in the last one, that is right now an object type. So this is all for today related with Ruby classes. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and let's do a little wrap up. So we create 2 classes, 3 classes actually. One that is the author class, another one that is a book class. So, and then we create a collection inside the author where we store different objects, that is book or hardcovers. We saw how to do dependency injections.